We're going to talk about grouped data. We've actually seen this before, we just didn't realize that's what it was called. Group data is, what we've seen of it is when we were given raw data and we put it into classes and we wrote down how often an observation occurred, that's called group data. So instead of giving us the raw data, we're going to get the grouped form of it, and then we're going to calculate the mean and standard deviation of it. Okay. So let me pull up the form. Actually, the formulas are right there. Notice for calculating the mean, the formulas are very pretty much the same. We're not quite sure what these symbols represent. Let me change up that real quick. Okay, sorry, I wanted to add the detail of what this actually says. Okay, so what we have here is we have x, instead of being the observation, it's the midpoint of the class, and f is the frequency of the class, and then n is the number of observations, or how many different classes there are. I'm sorry, let's jump down to a question right here. Uh, this is, again, they've already grouped the data for us where they said that there were, so we're looking at student engagement in a liberal arts college, approximate mean number of hours preparing for class each week. Okay, so there were 130 students that said they studied 1 to 5 hours a week. There were 250 that said they put in between 6 to 10 hours. There were 230 that put in between 11 and 15. So that's what all that means. All right, so what I need to do is I need to calculate the midpoint of these intervals. So I've gone in and written down the hours, and I just need to calculate what the midpoint, the center of that interval is. So halfway between 1 and 5, well, one easy way to do this is just average them out. So add them up, divide by 2. So 1 plus 5, 6, divided by 2 is 3. 6 plus 10 is 16, divided by 2 is 8. So you can just add up the numbers, divide by 2, and that'll give you the midpoints. So let me pause this while you do that. Okay, so hopefully you got the same numbers I did. We are now going to go to a calculator, and we're going to type in the midpoints and the frequencies. That's all we need for this particular calculation. So the midpoint, let's see, let me go back, let me get the formula again so we're staring at it. According to the formula, I need to multiply the midpoint times the frequencies. So I'm going to go up to L3, and I'm going to multiply L2 times L1, and that'll give me a set of numbers. And then this symbol here says that I need to sum up L3 and sum up L2, so I need the frequency summed up. So let me go to the home screen. Okay, so from the home screen, I want to go to list and then look for sum. So sum of L3 is that fancy number there. And then I want the sum of L2. And then I want to take those two numbers and divide them. Okay, so the mean of this grouped data is 14.25. We've got this up here. I'm going to go get the formulas for standard deviation. Okay, so notice that there is a difference between these two formulas. So population and sample standard deviation are calculated differently from one another. We are still, basically the setup is still the same. We still take the midpoint times the mean of the midpoints. We're going to square that times its frequency, and then we add that up. So let's take out our calculator here. And let's see, what are we missing that we would need as far as the calculation goes? We have, we don't know the mean yet, so I need to get that. We don't need this list 3 here. That was from the mean calculation, so we're going to get rid of that. But I do need to know the mean of the midpoints. So let's go back to our home screen. Our midpoints are located in L1, and I just need the mean of it. So if I go back to list 1, mean of L1, and I'm going to tell the computer to remember that, so we'll call that A. All right, and then we'll go back to our stat edit. Okay, so I need another column where I've subtracted and then squared. So I need 2 more columns here. So it kind of helps to keep track of what these columns represent. So I need the midpoint minus the mean. So I need L1 minus the mean. The mean we told the calculator was A. So I need that number. And then on top of L4, I need to square that. So I need L3 squared. So we get that set of numbers. And then what do I need to do next? I need to sum the squared times the frequency. So I have the squared in L4. I have the frequency all the way back in L2. So L5 is now going to be the sum of the squared, which was L4, times the frequency, and the frequency again we put back in L2. All right, then I'm going to enter that. And let's see, so I need to sum this up and sum up the frequency. Probably should have a conversation about whether or not we're dealing with sample or population, but in both cases we need to sum up all of these things. So let me go back at the calculator here. All right, so I need to sum up L5 and I need to sum up L2 and then divide. All right, so let's go sum of L5 and sum of L2. Okay, now if we're dealing with just a population, then we would just simply divide those two numbers. Oops, I forgot to tell the calculator to divide. So divide that, and I get that number, and then I want to take the square root of that. And so this would be the standard deviation of that grouped data. Okay. Now, if we are dealing with a sample, how would that calculation change? Well, I would need, let's see, the sum of L5 again, divided by, and then I'm going to put parentheses around this. And then down here, it would be the sum of the frequencies minus 1. So that would be L2 minus 1. Now I know 1,000, I want minus 1, I could just do 999. And then hit enter. And it's going to be really close because we're looking at 1,000 observations. So you subtract 1 off, it's not going to be that bad. All right, so then square root of that. And we get 8. Yeah, you can barely even tell. Population was 8.93. The sample would be 8.934. So you have to kind of pay attention to the verbiage in the problem and see what type of calculation it's asking for you to do. Okay, so the last question that shows up in this particular topic is this weighted mean question. This is something that teachers are actually good at because we do this when we calculate grades, when certain things are more relevant for your overall score than other things. All right, so this gentleman goes to a nut store and he makes his own special brand. He takes 1 pound of raisins. Well, each pound costs $1.25. And then he does 2 pounds of the chocolate covered raisins, and the chocolate covered raisins are 3.25 per pound. It is 1.5 pounds of cashews. So I'm calculating how much does it cost if he bought it individually. So 1.5 times 5.4. And then, so that's the amount of money that the total collection would have cost. And I want to divide it by how much the total collection was. So 1 plus 2 plus 1.5. And that will tell us, on average, what did he pay per pound for this special mix. So if I add that up in the calculator, we get 15.85. And then let's see, so 4.5, 4.5 for that. And so I tip that in the calculator and I get that it costs him per pound 3.52. So $3.52 for his special nut mixture. Anyways, this is a weighted average. We do this with grades. So there you go.